right. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with another episode. We got Steve Shull. We got Jeffrey Saad. And we're going to try to pick it up somewhere around where we left off last time. We talked about a lot of different things, but kind of towards the end of our last episode, we were getting into the practice, the actions you do to cultivate a mindset of harmony, a mindset of accepting what's happening in front of you and bringing your best to the moment. And, Steve, you talked about, you called your practice loosey-goosey, right? Let's say fluid. And Jeffrey, you have a little bit more structure, and I'm very curious to know what that structure looks like. And I love your analogy with learning a language, because I know you study French.
Yeah.
So tell us about your mindset practice.
Well, just to give, my awesome coach and friend Steve some kudos, he lives in the routine all day long. And that's the thing. It's like he's saturating himself with it all day. But for the rest of us, you have to make a conscious choice to start your day the right way. I always say a great burger is ruined by a bad bun. Huh. So the 5 to 9 in the morning and the 5 to 9 at night matter. It's how you're bookending, because if you don't start your day well, it's not as likely to go well. And if you don't end your day well, it's the same thing. So, to me, those two segments are even more important than the part in the middle. The part in the middle will take care of itself if you get the beginning and the end right. Like a great book, maybe. I don't know.
Right? This is wild. I'm still processing this bun analogy.
I'm just back to the burger.
This is brand new to me.
No, but you know what I mean? Have you ever had that perfectly juicy burger? The cheese is dripping down the side. The pickles are sharp and perfect, but then you get this thick, dry bun and you're like, you just stole the flavor.
Off, right?
You just ruined everything that went into the middle by putting on, that's why Shake Shack, some of these are so good. The bun just stays out of the way. It's just enough to hold the goodies and get it to your mouth. I
love this because the bun, if you ask somebody what's the most important part of a hamburger, no one is ever going to say the bun.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Let me jump in for a second.
Let's go.
I don't understand. What does that mean, catch up? What are you catching up to?
Right?
That's a great question, Steve.
Okay, here's what it
That's
is
a great
me.
question.
And this is probably true for a lot of people, so I'm going to put myself out.
No, it is true. It is true.
I set deadlines for myself. I say, I'm working on this manuscript. I want to have it finished by X date. And therefore I need to do this chapter this day and that chapter the next day. And it's all, kind of planned out. And then one day, shit happens and I don't do the chapter I was supposed to do that day.
Great analogy.
Now in my mind, I'm behind. I got to catch up
to what?
To meet that date that I set for myself.
And this is how everyone screws themselves up. So now I've got to do twice as much work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right.
The good news is it'll be half as good.
And I don't have time for your little espresso in the morning. I don't have time for your little journal.
That's great.
I don't have time to do
That's an honest assessment.
I don't have time to do 1 hour of writing today. However, tomorrow I'm going to do what?
2 hours.
2 hours.
Okay. You bet your bottom dollar. Yeah.
All right. And then tomorrow comes 2 hours. I'm not doing anything. And then we get to the end of the week, and how much writing have we done?
Jack shit.
Nothing. And so, the way I look at it, if I miss, I miss. It's gone. Mm-hmm. There's nothing to catch up to. I just have to go back to my schedule where I'm supposed to be that day. If you start piling things up, I haven't had a to-do list literally it's probably 20 years now. And everyone's had this experience.
And you're not dead. You are in fact alive.
I am alive.
And he looks pretty happy and he's doing really well.
I was the guy, briefcase, right? We used to have briefcases.
Remember those days?
Right?
Oh my God.
And you'd pack the briefcase
It was
up.
this thing made of leather or cheaper material. You weren't on Wall Street. It was cheaper material.
Right.
And you put stuff in it and you took it where you were going.
And you put all your work in your briefcase, right? And then when you go home, you're going to do all your work. Well, you bring your work home You don't do anything.
You set it by the door and then you pick it up again.
Then you take it back to work and you add more stuff to it. And then you take that home.
Don't do that either.
Anything. And then you go back to work and then you put more. And all you're doing is just dragging this stuff back and forth. And every single thing on your to-do list is calling your name every day. What about me? What about me? What about me? What about me?
So much mental noise.
It's a drain on your energy.
Yeah.
And the reason why you're not doing anything is you're so bogged down worrying about how much stuff I have to do.
Yeah.
So I studied this guy. He's still alive. Great guy. David Allen.
Love him. Getting Things Done.
Getting Things Done.
Best book.
Yeah. And I got into his methodology a long time ago and did work with David. We'd actually go out with David on these appointments and it'd be amazing.
Cool.
And what you do is you go through everyone's stuff. And the first step is you have to accumulate all the stuff and get it in piles because you're going to go through everything. And when you start going through your stuff and you get it in piles, you can just feel the heaviness. You can feel the lack of, the energy going out of the room. And then the next day you come back and you start going through each single piece of paper and you either dump it or do it or delegate it. It's
that's what I love. He said, do it, delete it, delegate it, or the greatest thing he ever did for me, put it in a someday folder.
Someday maybe, right?
You'll never
Which is actually trash.
But it feels great that it's out of your inbox.
Right.
Yeah. This is so funny. It's like, it's Marie Kondo for your to-do list,
right,
you know?
Right. No, exactly. And then the next day as we're going through all this, man, you can feel the energy come back into the room. So we're weighing ourselves down with all this nonsense. And that's why I just went to time blocking. And if it's in my calendar, I do it. End of story, period. And I get to wake up every day feeling totally free. Like people look at my calendar, which is nonstop half-hour appointments from
stressful.
5 to
it's wild.
Yeah. And they look at it and they go, oh my God, I would never want to do that. To me, it's total freedom.
Yeah.
Because I never have to worry about what I'm going to do on any given day.
Just the next half hour.
And then I do all my work in the gaps that show up during the day. A minute here, 5 minutes here. Someone cancels an appointment, 30 minutes. And so I just get all my work done in those gaps. Mm-hmm. And I've learned, that you can get things done in 30 seconds.
Big time. And you'll get it done well because you have 30 seconds. Yeah. But one quick thing that I love about the David Allen analogy is people get the idea that you need to have a clean desk, right? Even though many don't.
Yeah.
But when you have a clean desk, you have a clean head. But I think people need to think about their head like their desk. What is all that stuff that's stacked up and laying around that you're not going to touch anyway? Clear it away because then you're left with what matters. Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of mental clutter. And one of the things that I think compounds that mental clutter is the digitization of all our stuff, because you don't have piles of paper anymore. At least like a lot of people don't. They have overflowing inboxes. They have, Asana or Monday.com or like whatever your project management tool is with like a gajillion undone tasks. And the crazy thing about that is that because you can't see it, it's almost scarier.
Yeah.
It's invisible and it's just like this, it's like a shadow behind you that you can't quite see out of you, but it's there.
But it's
and I think it really adds, it adds to that mental
I have
clutter.
friends that have like 23,000 emails in their inbox or something. I'm like, oh my, I don't have any in my spam. I have 7 or 8 in my inbox at all times. There's this, it's just like storage. The storage industry is genius. I'm willing to put money on it that 70% of storage never gets touched. Thrown away, donate. Right? Like people have this thing where like, well, I just gotta have it in case of. I think the first thing that if our listeners.
Go look at my garage right now.
Yeah. No, my wife gets scared. If we haven't touched or used it in 3 months, I get rid of it. She's like, oh God, where is it? I'm like, it's gone. I would rather buy it back than have it bog me down. And guess what? We never buy it back.
Right.
Maybe the occasional cable adapter. Where'd that go? Oh shit, I threw it away with the box. But it's rare. And I think that's what people have to remember is like the value of buying it back once or missing it once is so much more powerful than thinking you need to keep all this stuff.
Just in case.
Yeah. And that's why 3 or 4 months ago, I forget when exactly now, I turned off all my notifications.
Yeah. Oh, I have none. You can't.
So no more dinging and this and, and I don't read my emails anymore. Someone else is reading them and text me. Good luck with that one.
Yeah, no, I don't. Whenever I go to text you, it's like he has his notification silenced. And I'm like, he's never going to see this.
and when I first turned them off, it was a little weird at first. And now it's like
free.
Oh my God.
Oh, I've never had them. I don't know how people can live that way.
Yeah.
Like that is to me is the epitome of the issue. Like you are being controlled by everybody and everything else. And I love the fact that it's like a proven fact the brain cannot multitask. When people think they're multitasking, all they're doing is doing everything a little bit worse.
Yep.
Yeah. It doesn't work. Like, and it's just about being, again, being present. It's cliche because it works and it's real. Like being present and what you're doing at the moment. I never get bogged down. I only think about what do I need to do now? What is this step? Not the 20 books you have to write, but just the next chapter.
Yeah.
The next word even.
And you get to experience this as many of you probably don't know. Would you say you race motorcycles or ride? What do you call it?
Well, I don't race in the sense of like you're going to be first, second or third, but you go to the track and you race
fast.
each other. Like they said, when was the first race? The day the second motorcycle was made. It's like you just want to go.
And you're going how fast?
Oh, anywhere, in corners, we could be going as high as 80 miles an hour, dragging your knee on the ground. On the straightaways, 145. It just depends.
And like the idea that you're going to drag your knee, that forces you, I would think, you got to be present.
Yeah.
You can't be thinking about your to-do list.
Yeah.
When you're leaning into that corner.
That's one of my favorite things about being on a motorcycle. And I think people have made analogies to it with other things too, is exactly that. You are forced. The only thing that matters is the 6 feet in front of you. Or actually, ironically, you're looking through the turn before you even get to the turn. But yeah, everything has to be locked in. And that's why it's so exhilarating because you are fully in the moment, all senses, everything firing to just make that corner.
It took me a long time to figure out what I was supposed to be doing. You were clear when you were young. You loved food. You wanted to be a chef and you were into sports like immediately. I was so unclear because there were so many things that I was like pretty good at. And there wasn't like the one thing.
Right.
So I'm like finally in a place in my life where I'm really clear about writing. And there are days where I have that thought like, oh my God, I have to get up and write this chapter. And it doesn't feel good, but you know why? It's not because I don't want to write. It's because of the mountain I've created in
Bravo.
my head.
What Steve was talking about earlier.
It's like I've
compound
taken
effect.
The joy out of the thing that I actually like doing because I'm freaking myself out about being behind.
Well said. Well said. Yeah. So you bring up a really good point. It's first saying, what do I want to do when I wake up? And then the second thing is not sabotaging that joy.
Don't suffocate it
by the way you're thinking about it.
I think what we have to learn, talk about a practice. You have to learn how to get quiet. You have to learn how to get still. And you have to learn how to just let go of everything. And what do I mean by that? All our thoughts, all our feelings are just thoughts. That's all they are. We have 50, 60,000, whatever the number is,
a minute
every day, right? And we let go of most of them. Just they come and they go. And we have that ability. We don't have the ability to control our thoughts. We have the ability to let go of all our thoughts. Same thing with feelings. They're just feelings. And the challenge we have is we think we are our thoughts. We think we are our feelings. The sad part is, and no one talks about this, most of us are going to go through our entire life and never know who we really are. Never know who we really are. Right? Because we think we're our body. We think we're our thoughts. We think we're our feelings. We think we're our accomplishments or our failures. We're none of that. We're just simply consciousness. We're just simply energy. We don't need anything. We don't need anything. We are the awareness of everything that's going on. And all we're trying to talk about is how to become more self-aware, not self-absorbed. That's not what we're promoting, just self-aware. And just, you've heard this a million times. We all just get in our own way, period. Yeah. That's all we do.
Yeah.
This idea of getting quiet is so interesting. It's making me think of something I've heard my husband say many times, to various different people who have been in a stuck place in their life. Like, I don't know what to do next. I don't feel like I'm doing the right thing. Like, how do I figure out what I'm supposed to be doing? And his advice is always like, go sit down. Don't do anything and see what happens. Like, see what comes to you, because when was the last time you actually stopped?
Yeah.
Everybody's always like, responding to messages, looking at social media.
Oh, we wear it as a badge of honor. Like, the busier you are, woo, you're amazing.
Right. And even when you're not like busy with work, you're doing something, you're consuming something, you're like trying to fill your time.
It's a distraction.
And what happens when you actually say, okay, I'm not going to fill my time. I'm just going to let my brain like do its thing here alone in the dark. And where is it going to take me? I think a lot of people are really afraid to find out.
Oh, totally.
100%.
Oh, we're running from it. That's why my litmus test has always been, I can die tomorrow and my last words will be thank you and a big smile on my face as I fade away. No would'ves, should'ves, could'ves, just did. And I think that like if everyone could really be true to themselves and say, if I die tomorrow, am I good?
Where have we gone in this conversation? What do you want people to take away from this episode?
What I want everyone to take away from every episode is just one thing: getting clear about how you want to live your life and then committing to it for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. It's not about the short term. It's about the long term. And, the first thing we have to get clear about is we're born and then we die, period.
Yeah.
And 3 generations from now, no one's going to remember us. Nobody, literally.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
And so, what are you doing with right now? Everyone's so focused on yesterday or tomorrow. And again, nothing new here,
but it's real.
It is real. It is real. And again, just like Jeffrey, he was a great coaching client. Everyone needs a coach.
Yeah.
He was a great coaching client because he took the coaching.
Yeah.
Rather than questioning it.
Yeah.
Rather than question. What I love, I share this all the time. My favorite question that I get from clients, my favorite question.
Here we go.
What else can I do? Which is code for, I'm not going to do anything you just told me to do. Give me
that's
something.
Too obvious and easy.
Something else.
I want it to be difficult. What is wrong with us?
And this came up in an earlier conversation, and I tell people this all the time. My coaching, there are no new ideas. The last thing you need in life is a new idea. That's the last thing you need. What do I want people to get out of this? We don't need a new idea. We need to execute the ideas that we have. And it goes back to that Bruce Lee, rather than trying 10,000 things to find out, what our life is going to be about. Pick one thing and just work on mastering that one thing over and over and over again. I believe we all know what we want to do with our life. We just have to get quiet enough to listen to the answer.
Yep.
Because we're so busy all the time. We're never discovering. And again, instead we go chase our pleasure, or we try and avoid pain. Chase pleasure, avoid pain. That's not living.
I love that you just use the word discovery. Like, I feel like that really captures the intent.
We are on a mission of discovery. Yeah. And the answer is there. It's there for all of us. And then once you tap into it, then you stay committed to it. whether a guy named Albert Gray wrote this article, I think it was in 1958, called The Common Denominator of Success. And he was in the insurance industry. And the conclusion that he came to, the common denominator of success is successful people do the things that failures aren't willing to do. That's the common
100%.
denominator.
100%. I would say do the thing you want to do least first. Do it long enough that it becomes a thing you want to do most, and it'll change your life. You know, do it first. You know, but what I want people to walk away with is like, it's not about the perfect presentation, the right thing to say. You will get the person of your dreams by showing up as a person they want to be with. You will get that listing by showing up as somebody who truly is interested in what you want out of this transaction, not what I want.
Yeah.
Everything is not a coincidence that some people keep vending joy and others keep having problems. If you can show up as your best self, you don't need a whole lot of technique. You don't need a whole lot of other stuff. You just are going to create an energy and a vibe that makes people want to be with you, work with you.
Yeah. And it sounds like the first step to showing up as your best self is finding out who your best self even is.
Or could be.
That's where the getting quiet is like step one.
Step one.
And we are all truly extraordinary. And again, that's not just a cliche or words.
It's true.
It's true. And it's up to us. It's our responsibility as a human being to find out who we are and find out what we're capable of. And the only way we're going to do that is put our ass on the line every single day. You know, we'll get into it at some point. Life is not without risk.
Yep.
You know, life is not without risk. And I go back and I think about the things. I jumped off cliffs. You've jumped off cliffs. And I'm not talking, you probably jumped off actually.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. That's what I thought you meant.
He's like, I thought we were being literal.
Yeah. I got this great picture. You want to see it?
Mental and emotional where you just go for it.
Yeah.
And
you don't know.
And you don't know. You don't know. And
I would rather splat than wither away on the cliff.
100%.
Shit.
100%.
That's it.
Splat.
Really? But that's the thing, you know, if you're not willing to splat, you're never going to get anywhere. A life with no risk is not a life worth living. And I mean, I don't mean that meanly, but I mean, I think, you know, whatever version of risk it is, and for some people it's different than others, that's the juice.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about fear again, right? That's what
because goes back to, you know, I said earlier, every day we're walking into uncertainty. There's no way around it. So every day is a risk. Every day. What do you want to do with it? And as human beings, the goal is to experience all of life, not just this sliver. Oh, I only want this and I don't want this. It's not an a la carte menu. If we want to have the fullest experience of life, it's developing the ability to experience all of life and finding the joy that's in whatever.
You know what makes a juicy medium rare steak so damn good is the burnt edges.
There you
You know, without that contrast, you don't appreciate juicy. You know, you gotta have some burnt edges.
Something dry and bitter.
Yeah. It's like, you know, that's the beauty of life is contrast.
And one of my favorite things is I'll go out into my pool at night and I keep it really warm, like 92, 94 degrees.
I'm with you. Hot water is one of the great pleasures of life.
And I will just sit there looking at the trees and the potted plants and the flowers and just sit there in that moment and just take like, wow.
Bravo.
Wow.
But how many people do that?
No, most people.
Bravo, Steve. That's what I always say. Listen for the silence between the noises.
Right.
You know, you hear the birds chirping and you hear the leaves rustling. What's in between those two? You know, when you get that present, it's like, it is. It's
and
like,
you look at, I mean, how could life be any better? And I like what you like to say. And he means it and lives it. He thinks he's the luckiest guy in the world and he lives his life as if he's the luckiest guy in the world. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with
Cheers
luck
to that.
either. It has nothing to do with luck either. I love this idea that I heard with Michael Singer last night. Part of it's self-effort and part of it's grace.
Yeah.
You know, the grace of the universe.
yeah.
and we're not in control of the grace part.
Yeah. Well said.
Well, thank you guys.
Good stuff.
Great conversation with Steve Shull and Jeffrey Saad.
Cheers.